no, I wish I was in Honolulu. I've been to Hawaii twice. I absolutely love it in Hawaii. Absolutely love it. I wish I could move there. I was trying to get my baby to be stationed there, and she said she didn't want to. It's 80 degrees year round over there. Beautiful. All right, so guys, grab a pen and piece of paper. Today we're reviewing for test 3. I'm just gonna tell y'all this test is gonna be the open nose test. So, and I wasn't going to say anything, but this semester has been so until why not? This is gonna be the open nose test, so you need to be sure that you have your notes or that you print the PowerPoint out so that you'll know exactly what you need to be familiar with. We'll review for that today, and of course, the test will be on next Thursday. Yeah, you guys are online. I got to figure that part out. I'll figure that out today in some kind of way. I'll try to figure it out so that you'll know. I got to figure out how I'm going to get it to you guys. Or maybe they would have opened the campus back up by then. Let's pray that that happens. And that way I won't have that dilemma. All right. Something else I was going to say. Oh, tomorrow also is the last day to drop a 15-week face-to-face class and your online class 15 weeks. So by now, just make sure you have the adjustments. Oh, your homework assignments in Canvas should be complete, both of those. If we get finished in time on next class period for chapter 9, because this test is going to be 7, 8, and 9. Chapter 9 is only like 10, 12 slides. It's really short. But there's an exercise that I normally do with chapter 9 where you actually act as if, and we do it in, we could do it at the flip. You don't have to study for it. You act as if you are the boss and I give you someone that you have to reprimand for some type of behavior. And so we do those as mock, like write-up sessions. And so I will, if we have time, then we'll get to that. All right, y'all ready? Y'all got your pen and piece of paper?
Yep.
All right, let's get it cracking. Let me see if this thing will move. No.
I can't even see the PowerPoint.
Nobody can see it?
Uh-uh.
Y'all can see hold on.
It just says click allow to dialogue shown by the browser. If you don't see a dialogue, click launch meeting.
Anybody else see it? Christopher, can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, ma'am.
Child, Trisha, that's your computer. You won't have to what is it asking you to do?
It keeps saying I'm talking to y'all, but it keeps saying launch meeting.
Yeah, well, hit launch because something must be going wrong.
That's what
Can everyone else? Yeah, hit launch meeting. Can everyone else see it? Shay, Shakita?
Yes.
Oh, hey, DeMarcus, you made it.
All right, it's working now.
All right, you got it. All right. All right, so the first thing that you need, hold on. First thing you need to be familiar with is the workplace culture. The workplace culture. And the workplace culture is defined as the sum of beliefs and values shared by those within the organization, which formally and informally communicate their expectations. And that is, be familiar with the workplace culture, the workplace culture. The sum of beliefs and values shared by those within the organization, which formally and informally communicate their expectations. The workplace culture. And again, you can print this out if you need to as well. Got it? And most of it you should have already had written down probably. I'm just giving you the context that you need to prepare for it. Know the difference in norm. Well, know what a norm is. Norms are attitudes and beliefs held by the members of a group. Can you guys see that full screen, or can you see? You can't see your. Okay, you can see it. Okay. Attitudes and beliefs held by members of groups are norms. It's going to be true, false. Or beliefs held by members of a group are norms. Norms. Also know what the code of silence is. The code of silence is the unwillingness of officers to reveal any misconduct by fellow officers. Code of silence. The unwillingness of officers to reveal misconduct by fellow officers. So they do not want to reveal it. And then that last part that I hope is not too far down is the first thing that you're going to have to, well, no, you don't have to write that. Hold on, let me see what that is. Officers first, Lord. Before you write it, just a second. Yeah, don't write that. Don't write the last one down there. Maybe I'm gonna be if I find it, I'll come back. Oh no, here it is. Yeah, right. Here it is. An officer's first loyalty must be to defend the Constitution and laws of the United States, the states and local laws. An officer's first loyalty must be to defend the Constitution and laws of the United States, the state constitutions and laws. So you're being norms, you know what norms is. Attitudes and beliefs by members of the group. Code of silence. The unwillingness of officers to reveal any misconduct about other officers. And an officer's first loyalty is to defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States. Okay, everybody got it? Well, let me know if I go too fast because I don't want to go too slow. Here, you'll need to know what the Johari window represents. And let me put that in context for you. All right, the blank window is a model to illustrate how people can learn more about others and themselves. The Johari window, keyword Johari window, is a model to illustrate how people can learn more about others and themselves. Last time, the Johari window is a model to illustrate how people can learn more about others and themselves. So you don't have to write about the 4 parts, just how people can learn more about others and themselves. Okay. Here you need to learn the difference in the touchstone values. Remember we talked about those, and daily values. Touchstone values are what people say is important to them. And this is going to be true, false. So make sure you remember this. Touchstone values are what people say is important to them. But daily values are what people actually spend their time and energy doing. Touchstone values are what people say are important to them, but the daily values are what people actually spend their time and energy doing. So remember that as like what you do every day is what you spend time and energy on. That's how you distinguish those two. Touchstone values and daily values. Touchstones are what people say is important. Daily is what people actually spend their time doing. Okay. And don't write that down at all. All right, here you need to know that the 3 stages of growth at the top where it says the 3 stages of growth, you're going to know the 3 stages of growth are dependent, independent, and interdependent. You don't have to know the definition, just that the 3 stages of growth are dependent, independent, and interdependent. The 3 stages of growth are dependent, independent, and interdependent. Don't write the definition, just the stages of growth are dependent, independent, and interdependent. Okay. Got it? Everybody got it? Yes, no, moving. All right.
Yes.
All right. This is the first thing you're going to have to write, and it is racial, RACIAL. You'll be defining what racial, blank racial is what you'll write in, RACIAL. Racial profiling is a police initiated action that relies on race. So one of the first, in that first line, you'll see race. So if you forget, what am I supposed to be writing here? You're going to see race, and that's racial profiling. Ethnicity, national origin, rather than the behavior of an individual or information that leads the police to a particular individual who has been identified as being or having been engaged in criminal activity. Racial is the first thing you're spelling, racial, RACIAL. Racial profiling. So it's going to be a fill in the blank, and you will write in racial. I know that's a long definition. And if you're taking notes in class, the next thing that you're going to do multiple choices talking about the court case Wren v. United States. So you have to identify which court case. Did y'all get racial? I can move to the next one. All right. Here it is, Wren. You're going to have to identify which Supreme Court case affirmed that police officers can stop vehicles if they have reasonable suspicion of a traffic violation, even though they have no evidence of criminal activity. Ren B, United States. Affirm that police officers can stop vehicles if they have reasonable suspicion of a traffic violation, even though they have no evidence of criminal activity. Ren B, United States. Ren B, United States. Okay, got it? Y'all need me to wait? If you need me to wait, just throw your hand up and I'll hold up. Now move on. Okay. All right, here, this is going to, you need to know what ethics are. Ethics, multiple choice. These are standards of fair and honest conduct. Ethics, standards of fair and honest conduct. You need to also know what integrity is, a steadfast adherence to an ethical code. Integrity, a steadfast adherence to an ethical code. And don't write ethical behavior down. Just ethics and integrity. Ethics and integrity. Okay, all right. All right, so here you're writing, this is the next thing you're gonna have to fill in the blank. And it is the bad apple syndrome. You're writing in BAD, bad. So you see apple, you should know that bad is the thing that goes along with it. The bad apple principle states that a few bad cops ruin the entire department and even tarnish the image of the entire policing profession. The bad apple principle or syndrome. You're writing in bad. So far you're writing racial and BAD, bad. A few bad cops. So the third word in this is bad. If you forget, you see that? A few bad cops, the word you're writing in is bad, can ruin the entire department and even tarnish the image of the entire policing profession. The bad apple syndrome. You're writing in bad, BAD. Okay. We didn't watch that video, did we? All right. So let's go to the next chapter. That was chapter 7. And again, where's my chapter 8? Here it is, right here. All right. Chapter 8 is our next chapter. And this is where we finished off in class the other day. So before you start writing all that, let me tell you the context of the scene. All right, so here, it's gonna be a multiple choice and it says Maslow's blank of needs is in the order they need to be met: physiological, safety and security, social esteem and self-actualization. So it's down here in specific order, but what you need to focus on is Maslow's what? So it's going to be hierarchy of needs. Hierarchy of needs, or hierarchy is the key word. Maslow's hierarchy, Maslow's what? Hierarchy is the key word of needs is in the order they need to be met: physiological, safety and security, social esteem, and self-actualization needs. So it's that bottom part. Maslow's what of needs, hierarchy of needs needs to be met in the order they come, and that's physiological, safety and security, social esteem, and self-actualization. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay. All right, here you'll need to know, well, you'll need to know that Herzberg has his theory is called the two-factor, but you're focusing on two-factor. And let me see if that's on this next slide. Hold on. No. Let me go back. All right. So here, it's going to ask you Herzberg's what? And you're going to write his two-factor theory, not his one-factor, four-factor, but Herzberg has the two-factor theory, which is up here, which is located up here. You can see it's called Herzberg's two-factor theory. And you're going to need to know what the hygiene factor means and what the motivator factor means. And hold on, let me get you the context of that. I think that's matching. Yeah, that's in your matching. Hygiene factors are the tangible rewards, and motivator factors are the intangible rewards. So three things on this slide. Herzberg, what is his theory called? The two-factor theory. And hygiene means tangible rewards, and motivator factors mean intangible. So to remember that, think about if somebody got bad hygiene, you can smell it. That's tangible. You're going to be able to see it or smell it or something. That's tangible. And motivators, things that something that happens inside of you. So something that's intangible. So three things. Herzberg, how many factors does his theory have? It's a two-factor theory, which includes the tangible or hygiene factors and the intangible or motivator factors. I think we stopped in class on, we watched the video and then we left. So maybe if I hurry up, maybe we'll get time to do some of this day so it won't be in such a rush on our next class period. All right, everybody got that? If not, all the PowerPoints, I believe all of them in the module, but I'm gonna go over as many as I can. All right, here you need to know that Skinner's, what is his theory called? It's gonna be the reinforcement theory. Skinner's, you see that reinforcement theory. Skinner suggests that positive reinforcement. Skinner has the reinforcement theory. It's a motivational theory that behavior can be modified by using positive and negative reinforcement. Skinner, B.F. Skinner, what is this theory called? It's called the reinforcement theory. And it says that behavior can be modified by using positive and negative reinforcement. And you'll have to identify what is positive. These are multiple choice. What's positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. So here it tells you positive reinforcement increases the likelihood that a behavior will occur in the future by introducing an appearing or pleasurable stimulus. For an example, you get rewarded for hard work. Negative reinforcement increases a given behavior by removing an unwanted stimulus as a consequence of that behavior, like the chime on your seatbelt. That thing chimes and chimes and chimes because you're doing something negative by not putting your seatbelt on. It chimes until you put it on. So positive reinforcement increases the likelihood that a behavior will occur in the future by introducing something pleasurable. A reward for your hard work is an example of that, like you get to go on vacation. And negative reinforcement increases the given behavior by removing an unwanted stimulus as a consequence of that behavior. So that's the chime on the seatbelt. Positive and negative reinforcement, and Skinner has a reinforcement theory. So that's 3 separate questions for him. Okay, I got it. Everybody got it? Yeah, I can move on. All right. All right, here you need to know what Victor Vroom's theory is called. It's the expectancy theory. Victor Vroom, just think about vroom, vroom, vroom. Expectancy theory. It's a motivational theory that employees will choose the level of effort that matches the performance opportunity for their reward. Victor Vroom's expectancy theory. Expectancy is the key term here. It's a motivational theory that employees will choose the level of effort that matches the performance opportunity for reward. Victor Vroom. Employees will choose a level of effort that matches the performance opportunity for reward. Victor Vroom. Okay. And in this theory, he says that it basically says that employees become motivated to act when they feel like they're going to get something they can achieve, they can be recognized, when they feel like they'll see their work, the result of their work and that is positive. They'll do better about doing it. They're more motivated and they'll choose a level of work where they can get the best response, the best achievement from. Excuse me, that's Victor Vroom. So the key word here is, what's the name of Victor Vroom's? He has the expectancy. Is that what I said? Look at it. Yeah, expectancy theory is the key word for him. The expectancy theory was created by Victor Vroom, a motivational theory that employees would choose a level of effort that matches the performance opportunity for reward. Okay. Got it? Here you'll need to know what the Hawthorne effect is. Multiple choice. The blank effect is when workers are positively affected by receiving attention, which affects research efforts. Again, you're focusing on Hawthorne. Hawthorne effect is when workers are positively affected by receiving attention, which affects research efforts. Hawthorne effect. And also on this slide, know what the self-fulfilling prophecy is. The theory that people live up to expectations. So the Hawthorne effect is when workers are positively affected by receiving attention, which affects research. And self-fulfilling prophecy is that people live up to expectations. If you think a person, you think they can do something, they probably will. If you tell them long enough that they can't do it, then they probably won't. Remember that from the gentleman Walinda effect. That's what he thought. He kept having thoughts of death and eventually he died. So the Hawthorne effect is the keyword Hawthorne. Effect is when workers are positively affected by receiving attention, which affects research efforts. And then self-fulfilling prophecy, the theory that people live up to expectations. Got it? No, y'all still right? Okay. I'll wait a few more minutes. Y'all ready? Okay. All right. Here you know what morale is. Morale is the keyword, a person or group state of mind, level of enthusiasm, and amount of involvement with work and life. Morale, the definition is a person or group state of mind, level of enthusiasm, and amount of involvement with work and with life. Morale. Person or group state of mind, level of enthusiasm, and amount of involvement with work and with life. Morale. Morale again, person or group state of mind, level of enthusiasm, and amount of involvement with work and life. Okay. Morale again is a person or group's state of mind, level of enthusiasm, and amount of involvement with work and life. Got it? Okay. All right, let's go to the last chapter. It's chapter 9. And this chapter 9 PowerPoint should be out there. Here we go. All right, and chapter 9 is talking about collaborating with labor management and handling grievances and complaints. This is a chapter that I said we're going to do our mock as if you got to write somebody up on the job. But the first thing to be familiar with from this chapter is what a union is. Multiple choice. A union is any group authorized to represent workers in negotiating such matters as wages, fringe benefits, and other working conditions. So be familiar what a union is. Any group authorized to represent workers in negotiating matters such as wages, fringe benefits, and other conditions of employment. Most jobs have unions. Well, not most, some jobs have unions, and it's totally up to you whether you join the union or not. But when you come in, they'll ask you if you want to join the union. And the union is supposed to be there to protect the employees so that if you get written up or something happens on the job, then they'll, the union rep will come in and step in for you. Unions are who you see boycott sometimes when they see people doing things that they don't want them to do, or they feel like the working conditions are unsafe, they'll boycott. And so unions supposed to be for the employees. Have our unions come in though and get people fired. Everybody go on strike and they fire everybody on the job, hire somebody else. But they're supposed to sit down and collaborate with your employer and come up with a contract that both sides agree to abide by if you're in a union. So a union, again, that's the key word, union. Any group authorized to represent workers in negotiating matters such as wages, fringe benefits, and other conditions of employment. A union. Okay, got it? Everybody got it? All right. Okay, so here, this is gonna be matching, but I want you to, so you don't write the definition down. What you're gonna write for this first one is identify the Wagner Act. The Wagner Act, which is the National Labor Relations Act of 1935. That's the Wagner Act. National Labor Relations Act of 1935. That's the Wagner Act. Now, there's a National Labor Relations Board on here too, so make sure you don't get the two confused. But the Wagner Act is the National Labor Relations Act. It's going to have 1935 on it. The Wagner Act is going to have 1935, National Labor Relations Act 1935. And then FLSA is the Fair Labor Standards Act. You just see that acronym and know what the word is, what it means. Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA. Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA. You don't have to write the definition. Just write what the acronym means. Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA. And the Wagner Act is the National Labor Relations Act of 1935. Okay. Here, now this is what I was telling you about the NLRB. It's a National Labor Relations Board. So that's going to be different than the Wagner Act. So don't get them confused. Both of them are going to be matching. National Labor Relations Board, NLRB. And then the Wagner Act will be the National Labor Relations Act. So the Wagner Act has act in there, but the NLRB is board, National Labor Relations Board. So the NLRB is a National Labor Relations Board. Huh? Here you'll need to know, this is the third thing you're gonna have to write down. You got 4 fill in the blanks but this one is collective, is what you're writing in. COLLECTIVE, collective. And that is defined as bargaining. Well, collective, you don't have to write bargaining, just collective. The process whereby representatives of employees meet with representatives of management, to establish a written contract setting forth working conditions for a specific time. Usually this is 1 to 3 years. So you're writing in collective. You're writing in collective. Collective bargaining is the process whereby representatives of employees meet with representatives of management to establish a written contract setting for working conditions for a specific time. Usually it's 1 to 3 years. And also on this slide, matching, you'll need to know what a CEO is. Chief Executive Officer. Chief Executive Officer. CEO is Chief Executive Officer. But what you're writing is collective. Collective bargaining is the process whereby representatives of employees meet with representatives of management to establish a written contract setting for working conditions for a specific time, usually 1 to 3 years. You're writing in collective. So far you have racial, bad, BAD, and collective that you're writing in. And there's one more toward the end. Got it? Not quite. And this goes along with the union rep, because usually that's the person that does the collective bargaining for the employees. The union rep will go in, and it says it happens 1 to 3 years, and they'll sit down with the terms that the employees they view as fair. And the management or employer will state whether or not they think that that is fair or sufficient, and they'll come to a happy medium in the middle with their negotiations. That's called collective bargaining. All right. Here, this is going to be matching. Know what a difference in a complaint and a grievance. A complaint is a statement of a problem, but when you file a grievance, that's a formally registered complaint. So a complaint is a statement of a problem. You got a complaint, man, I got beef, I got a problem with this, you're just voicing it. But when you go through the grievance process, that is actually when you sit down, you make a formal complaint on paper, and it starts an investigation into what your issue is. So the difference is a complaint is a statement of a problem, but a grievance is more formal. It's a registered complaint. And the next question, where is this? Yeah, I got the wrong one here. Most are related to working. Hold on a minute, let me find that first. Yeah, that's the same one. So most internal complaints are related to working conditions and management. Make sure that you know that most internal complaints are related to working conditions and management, not things that happen off duty, but things that happen on duty. Most internal complaints are related to working conditions and management styles. So you're distinguishing a complaint from a grievance. A complaint is just you saying I got an issue. A grievance is you sit down and formally write it. And then most of those internal complaints come from working conditions. And what they mean by internally is those complaints from within the police department or within your organization. External will be complaints that a citizen will make, but internal are complaints that the employees make about the employer. And those are going to be related to working conditions and management styles. Okay, everybody got it? Right. Here's the last thing you're writing in. Last thing you're going to have to write in. Never, a basic rule is never, you're writing in never, any VR, excuse me, take a complaint lightly. All complaints must be investigated. You don't want to be that boss that somebody comes to you with a complaint, excuse me, 1 week, and you ignore it and say, oh, go on, it's going to be all right. And then 3 weeks later, somebody stabbed on somebody else on the job and you didn't pay attention to the complaint. Oh, your dog's so cute, Tristan. He's just wagging his tail. Hey. He's like he in class. So never take a complaint lightly. I don't care how small it may be, how trivial it may sound, how petty it may sound. As a boss or a supervisor or someone in management, you need to document it. You need to make sure that you go through the process that you have to go through. Because if that next week somebody stabs somebody, or come up there and shoot somebody, or something go down, and they find out that you knew about it and you didn't do anything about it, they're going to hold you liable for it. You'll be on the news. Well, they reported it a week ago to DeMarcus and he didn't do anything about it. So they came back and just set the place on fire next week. So you always want to make sure. And I say this in dealing with jobs. If it's not written, it doesn't exist. If it's not written, it doesn't exist. So write everything that protects you and it protects the people on the job. You have a written record of everything that occurs. Write it down. All right. All right. So here, the next matching, know the difference in a pinch and a crunch. Pinch is a minor problem. Crunch is a major problem. So think about a pinch of salt. Pinch is minor, small. A crunch, you take a big crunch of something that's big, it's major. Pinch is a minor problem. Crunch is a major problem. That's matching again. A pinch is a minor problem. A punch, or I say a punch. A pinch is a minor problem. A crunch is a major problem. And well, that's the one I just gave y'all. A basic rule is never. You're writing never down. So you already have it. All right. And the last one on this slide, the Internal Affairs Division. Internal is the key word. They investigate officers. The Internal Affairs Division investigates officers. They're the police that police the police. And you don't have to write the basic rule down again. You already got that one. But the Internal Affairs Division investigates officers. They're the police that police the police. Internal Affairs Division. They investigate officers. The police that police the police. Okay, we got a few more. Okay. All right, here we are. You need to know what the guarantee protection is. The guarantee protection, that's multiple choice. A written notification that an officer is making his or her statement or report in an internal affairs investigation involuntarily. Like y'all forced me to do this. I don't want to do this. Guarantee protection. Guarantee protection. A written notification that an officer is making his or her statement or report in an internal affairs investigation involuntary. And then here, the next one is civilian review boards. Civilian review boards have power only to make recommendations to the police chief executive. They can't go all everywhere else making a recommendation. The civilian review board, which is a board that's separate from the civil service board, is usually comprised of civilians because they think they'll be less biased and can look at things from both sides. So some cities when they think that the police aren't being fair, they'll hire or they'll elect people, civilians, to come and sit and hear the issue so that they can be aware of what's going on and decide on it. So civilian review boards have power only to make recommendations to the police chief executive. So they only make a recommendation. What they do is not necessarily going to, he don't have to follow it, but they can recommend it. And then lastly on this slide, multiple choice arbitration is turning a decision over to an individual or panel to make the final recommendation. And if you've made a major purchase and you've signed an arbitration agreement on the end of it, arbitration is just, you're agreeing that a third party can come in so that you don't take them to court. Arbitration. Arbitration is turning a decision over to an individual or panel to make final recommendations. Okay, so on this slide, guarantee report, which is a written notification that the officer is giving his statement to internal affairs without voluntarily doing it. Know what civilian review boards are. They have the power to make recommendations to the chief. And arbitration, you should know that if you made a purchase, a little small writing on the bottom says you agree that this will go before arbitration before you do anything else. That's generally what we sign. Everybody got that? Got it? All right. All right, so let me go back. I got a few more minutes. I want to try to go back and, if not finish up, but go back to chapter 8 where we left off talking about motivation and get some of that knocked out so it won't be so difficult for us to do when we come back. I won't have so much to try to go over with you guys. Let me stop this recording though. Hold on. Ooh. I lost my stuff. Okay, hold on. Chapter 8. Share sound. All right. Hold on. Hold on. Recording.